This is Seth with Red Landing Tour Company, and I'm here with Larry Daugherty of Chugiak, Alaska. Sorry for that. Just off the trail for about a week, finishing his fifth Iditarod in 33rd place. How is it, Larry?
It's good to be home. It was a great trail this year. Had a fun time out there. It was a unique race for sure.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. What was the main difference for you, better or worse than previous runs down the trail besides finishing in Willow versus finishing in Nome?
You know, it should have been a fairly easy race because the conditions were great. I mean, the trail, you couldn't have asked for a better trail for the most part. We had snow through the burn. It was a hard, fast trail. We had very little weather issues. There weren't a lot of storms. I mean, we had some snow and a couple of really cold nights, but for what the Iditarod can throw at you, it should have been a very easy race. It was shortened by a couple hundred miles. But for me, it ended up being my hardest Iditarod, primarily because I had a wrist injury early on that really kind of impacted my happiness and my ability to kind of do simple things throughout the whole race. But also I think my team wasn't unique with this. It was just a struggle with dogs this year because there was a lot of illness among the dogs on the trail this year. I think many mushers have commented it was the worst diarrhea that they've seen, and so it needed more rest into the dogs, and things were just a little bit more of a struggle to get through.
Well, as we know, anytime you think something like the Iditarod is easy, she might jump up and bite you.
Well said.
Being a doctor of oncology, a musher, a mountaineer, a family man with a pretty sizable family, just to mention a few things you do, how do you do it all? How do you manage that?
I manage that with a lot of help. You know, I would love, there's part of me that romanticizes and would love to be a real musher, a full-time musher, like most of my colleagues that are out there on the trail, have my own kennel, race my own dogs that I've raised from puppies. I think that's the best way to do the Iditarod and to compete. But the reality is I've got other responsibilities in my life that at this stage are much more important, you know, raising kids and being a radiation oncologist to my patients. And so balancing it, you know, I lease dog teams. I rely on significant help from folks to train the dogs. So this year, that was Gerhard T. Art, who was training the dogs that I used for the whole season. He qualified for the Iditarod. Super proud of him with that dog team. I got in as much time as I could with the dogs before the race, but I needed a lot of help to get to the starting line. And you've been there too, man. You've helped me with a couple races in the past, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
It does take a lot, but all those other things on your plate got to be huge for you too. I just recently heard about while the race was going on, you were doing a symbolic vaccination carry for this year's COVID-19. How did it feel to, even though it was symbolic, to be doing that in relationship to what the Iditarod is about and the history it has with sharing the trail with part of the historic Serum Run to Nome to save the children in 25?
Man, the whole thing was just incredibly humbling and a huge honor. I literally had no intention whatsoever of doing the race this year. And these kind folks approached me in late November with this kind of crazy idea to carry the vaccine to Nome. The vaccine hadn't even come out yet when they came up with this idea. The trail was going to Nome. I thought it was a really neat idea, but it also was super humbling to even, you know, have that comparison drawn. But I also thought, you know, this is an important symbol. This is something that can give hope to Alaskans, hope to the world, for a world beyond COVID-19. And so I jumped on with the project. It had a lot of changes to it by the time we hit the race, and even changes on the race. Ended up being just a symbolic carry of the vaccine on the trail rather than true delivery of vaccine. But I still think it was an important gesture and an important time to do something like that.
Sounds pretty cool. So fans are going to want to know, when do we see you back on the trail again, Larry? Are you running the 50th anniversary?
It's kind of up in the air, to be honest with you. I think if I do the Iditarod again, I'd like to actually do the Iditarod with a competitive team. But as I acknowledged before, right now is not a great time in my life to really be able to fully commit to training dogs full time year round, like you really need to do to get your own team to the starting line. So, I'd like to say I'll be back out on the trail, but I don't know when.
Oh, that bug's bit you. You'll be back. You'll be back. Well, Larry, it was nice.
Well, you too, man. When are you getting back out there?
That's the problem I have asking these questions of mushers. They ask me too. We're going to cut it off, but thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you back out there.
All right. Appreciate it, Seth. Thank you.